Shalom. This week we are reading Parashat Va'era. It is the second Torah portion in the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus, and it features 7 of the 10 plagues. As everybody knows, Egypt in general and Pharaoh, the Pharaoh in particular, represent this mentality that there is no God. They were not able to admit that there's a God running the world, and the purpose of the 10 plagues was to come and completely undermine that position and completely confound their conception of reality. Hashem was basically manifesting himself, stating through the 10 plagues, welcome to my world, the real world. This is the real world. So the 10 plagues, everyone knows, in Hebrew they are called Dam, Tzfardea, Kinim, Arov, Dever, Shchin, Barad, Arbe, Choshech, Makat Bechorot, blood, frogs, lice, wild beasts, epidemic, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and the slaying of the firstborn. Now everybody who experiences the Passover Seder and is familiar with the Passover Haggadah knows that one Rabbi Yehuda, a very great sage, he actually referred to these plagues by some sort of code, by some sort of acronym. And the expression in Hebrew in the Haggadah is Rabbi Yehuda haya noten bahem simanim detzach adash ba'achav. Rabbi Yehuda, he actually referred to these plagues by these 3 groups made up of the acronym, first letters of the names of the plagues. He divided them into groupings, into 3 groups. The first group of 3, blood, frogs, and lice. The second group of 3, the wild beasts, epidemic, and boils. And the third group, actually, of hail, locusts, darkness, and slaying of the firstborn. Now, who was this Rabbi Yehuda? He's actually Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai. He is mentioned generally as, referred to as Rabbi Yehuda. He was a Tana in the 4th generation of the era of the scholars known as the Tanaim, that is to say, in the second half of the 2nd century. And he was one of the greatest students of Rabbi Akiva. And actually, he is cited hundreds of times in the 6 orders of the Mishnah. In fact, he is the Tana, the sage of that generation, whose halachic decisions are mentioned more than any other in the Mishnah. But why did he do this? There are some commentators who think that it was a simple memory device, but many other commentaries express wonderment as to what Rabbi Yehuda's goal was and what lesson he was seeking to impart by grouping these plagues in these specific divisions. Now, it's well known that indeed Rabbi Yehuda enjoyed the vehicle, the device of the mnemonic. That's not mnemonic, even though it is spelled M-N-E-M-O-N-I-C, because you see the first M is silent. So that is called a mnemonic device. And it's actually, the expression mnemonic device refers to any learning technique that aids information retention. Mnemonics aim to translate information into a form that the human brain can retain better than its original form. In fact, it's said that even the process of merely learning this conversion might already aid in the transfer of information to long-term memory. Commonly encountered mnemonics are often used for lists and in auditory form, such as short poems, acronyms, such as Rabbi Yehuda's acronym of Ditzach Adash Ba'achav, or memorable phrases. But mnemonics can also be used for other types of information and in visual or kinesthetic forms. Their use is based on the observation that the human mind more easily remembers spatial, personal, surprising, physical, humorous, or otherwise relatable information rather than more abstract or impersonal forms of information. All this from Wikipedia. Surprisingly, though, there are actually, upon closer examination, inherent in the grouping of Rabbi Yehuda, 3 distinct groups with three distinct characteristics. Each group can be seen as having a singular purpose and thus readily distinguishable from the other groups. So, was Rabbi Yehuda, as indeed oftentimes was his wont throughout the Talmud, was he indeed here seeking a mere mnemonic device, a way of remembering the plagues in an easier fashion by relating to them by acronym? It would seem not. Indeed, these groups are absolutely fascinating when we examine them closely. First and foremost, in each one of these groups, the first plague in each grouping conveys a warning in the form of early in the morning. For example, with blood, Hashem clearly says, go to Pharaoh in the morning. And then with the first plague of the next group, arise early in the morning and station yourself before Pharaoh. And so too with hail. Again, the same words, arise early in the morning and station yourself before Pharaoh. I bet you never noticed this before, that we don't find the same wording about the morning when it comes to, for example, the animal epidemic or boils. Now, by the way, the slaying of the firstborn is something that it's its own thing altogether, and it's its own category, so we won't relate to that just at the moment. Now, that's as far as the first plague in each grouping, that it conveys, it carries this, this warning, this admonition about early in the morning. The second plague of each of the three groups features another warning, and that one is in the form of come to Pharaoh. And this, if you'll notice, applies to, yes, the frogs, epidemic, and locusts. And the third plague of each of the three groups features no warning at all. On the deepest level, Rabbi Yehuda is actually not engaging in a mere memory device. Rabbi Yehuda is coming to teach that each of these three groups is a self-contained unit with a unique and individual purpose. And another giveaway, by the way, is that at the beginning of each grouping, the goal, Hashem's goal, is really stated in one form of, so that you shall know. Through this, you will know. And let's understand. Pharaoh himself embodies total denial of God in this world. But that denial consists of three levels. Denial in the existence of God, and therefore denial in his providence, hashgacha. That means the collective and individual intervention and involvement of God in everyday life. And the third factor of this denial is the denial of this God's ability to master reality, to change the shape of nature, to manifest himself with power. So according to Rabbi Yehuda's insight, the first group of plagues comes to address the first level. That is the level of denial of the existence of God altogether. That's why when it comes to the first plague, the Torah tells us, by this you will know that I am God. And that goal was achieved when, for example, the magicians of Pharaoh admitted it is the finger of God. The second grouping comes to demonstrate Hashem's providence, and that's why Israel was separated for the good from everyone else, through which his providence was evident, that not everything is the same for everyone, that Hashem is involved intimately with all of his creation. And the purpose here also is given, for I am Hashem in the midst of the land. The third grouping comes to demonstrate Hashem's ability to change the entire scope of nature and demonstrate his power. And that's why it states, there is none like me in all the earth. Now Moshe actually communicated all three of these points when he originally said to Pharaoh, Hashem, the God of the Hebrews, says, send forth my people. Hashem, there is a God, the God of the Hebrews, which is this concept of divine providence, and send forth my people, that I am master, that I am manifesting my will, my power. But what did Pharaoh respond? A contrary position to each statement. He said, who is Hashem? there is no God, that I should listen to his voice. I don't believe in providence, that there's anything here at all, any personal intervention. And also, I will not send out Israel, my strength versus his strength, me against him. So, the world of the 10 plagues is a world in which Hashem shakes up the very foundation of creation, and today as ever. There's a lot of this going around, a lot of this pharaonic type of substitution. We see the same arrogance and self-aggrandizement and grandstanding daily. There's not enough room in this world, say, many leaders and many people, for both a God that can do all this and me, iPad, iPhone. But Hashem's message through the redemption of Israel is clear. There is no God but me. And in reference to the future redemption, which is quickly gaining on us, and the future is now, and there's no time like the present, the Torah teaches us that the best is yet to come, and the wonders of that unfolding redemption will outshine even the world-shattering facts of the Exodus from Egypt. As the prophet Micha tells us, as in the days when you left Egypt, I will show wonders.